Welcome back to another episode, CityLife Uncensored. Super pumped to bring the energy today. Unfortunately, my main man Kirshner's not here today with us, but the energy we're about to get today from what's becoming quickly a really good friend of mine and an incredible business person, Lifetime Quality Roofing president and CEO, Alex. What's up, brother?
Yeah, not a whole lot, man. Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. You're doing some big things in the real estate world. Glad to make the connection. Glad I could get out to Pittsburgh. I actually have owned a business in Pittsburgh for 4 years now, and I have not had an opportunity to get out here because I've been so busy. But you asked me to come, and I got to see my office for the first time in 4 years this morning. I gave the team a pump up speech and. Very impassioned. I'm actually coming back down from that speech. It happens quite
We're already
often.
getting into the energy, baby. Let's go.
Well, I don't know how uncensored this is. I don't want to start dropping the F-bomb this early in the morning. So,
yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate you obviously coming out. So you live in Columbus, so you made the drive out right after a 3-day business trip we were actually on together. As part of Kent's, boardroom. We're both part of the billionaire boardroom. Obviously, I think you feel the same way that I do about that group and just life-changing and the opportunities present itself to us, right? I mean,
unbelievable. It's actually really weird when we start talking about boardroom. I have to stop sometimes and look the person in the eyes and be like, this is not a cult. This is not an MLM. That is not what we're doing here. And I've been part of, big shout out to Boardroom, Kent, Eddie, what all those guys are doing. I've been part of so many freaking masterminds over the years for roofing and for, entrepreneurialism and all this other stuff. And it is just, Boardroom has just blown all expectations out of the freaking water. My life.
How long have you been in now?
9 months.
Okay.
9 months. And so I talk about me and my wife's life as kind of being on this upward trend, right? If you looked at it on a graph, it'd be this upward trend. And since we joined Boardroom, it literally went from this steady incline to just exponential growth straight to the freaking moon. I mean, just the networking in there is amazing. Seeing what everybody else does with their business, being able to catapult yourself forward is one of the greatest superpowers that any of us could have. I mean, you, for instance, you talked about how you look at real estate from a balance sheet perspective. Me and you had a good laugh about that when we were in the Bahamas, because I looked at you and said, I always laughed when banks and all these lenders and everybody asked for the balance sheet, because I was always like, balance sheet? Look at that P&L. Who cares about the balance sheet?
Well, hey, we'll get into the tax problems that you've had over the years too.
Happy to talk about them.
Before we do, right? No, I couldn't agree more. And, to your point around being in a bunch of masterminds, I've never was in anything. And I was always so against the idea of the cult-like feeling. I'm like, I don't need to join a fraternity when I was in college. I don't need to pay for friends.
Yeah.
When I got to the point in my career, it was like, I need help. I'm not an entrepreneur naturally, right? I was 2-3 years into running my own company. It was I need it, right? And I couldn't have gotten more lucky that the first group that I've ever was in was the Border Mastermind, literally.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
wow.
I never was in, I was in corporate America my whole life. Then I was heads down the first 2 years, just trying to make a couple bucks to survive while, running the company and trying to grow it. And then, when I came up out of that, it was an Instagram ad. Ken probably specifically targeted me he always talks about, man. Right? And on a call with him an hour later, I'm like, all right, wire the money. Here we go. You know what I mean? And it was, again, it's changed my life, and I've invested a lot more into CEO coaching and everything else on that. I know you have, but
yes. Yeah.
Before we get into all that, I've got to make sure we get a little bit of the history, a little bit of story, a little bit of background on you, right? So with everybody that we have on here, I really like to start with what I call the come up, right?
Yeah,
so wherever you want to start, ultimately, you just give the background on you, where you're at, how you've gotten to where you're at now from a company. I know you have an incredibly successful roofing company. We're going to get into that, but we kind of know and want to know where you've started with, and kind of, most of us come from humble beginnings and kind of scale it, right? So what's that look like for you?
Oh, yeah. You want me to go way back. So I'm actually from a small town called Meeville, PA. My mom was a RN for 42 years. My dad, 5th grade school teacher. He specialized in science. So at his school, you would go to your all the like secondary classes with your one homeroom teacher, and then everything else would go to like a specialty. So the core classes like math, science, English, stuff like that. So my dad actually taught science. People loved him. Funny enough about my dad. So my dad would save up all, like everybody would say, oh yeah, I love your dad, love your dad, love your dad. And I'd say, oh, that's cool. Have you ever heard him swear? And they'd be like, Mr. Gerhart? No, never heard Mr. Gerhart swear. And I said, well, I have. Because he would bottle it up all day long. Take it all out on you. And then, oh my God, would he let it rip. And my best friend growing up, Greg Curtis, best man at my wedding, he made this super funny observation about my dad. And he said, I finally figured out how your dad yells. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, he yells till he runs out of breath. And I was like, what? And I started thinking about it, and he would go from my dad was 0 to 60. So it was,
I wonder, so Apple isn't far too
0 to 60. But yeah, he would just, all right. He drops a plate. Oh, just, weird thing. Drops a plate in the kitchen, like whatever, like no big deal. And he actually, I back that up. I've seen him sit down to do like his taxes or like to do paperwork or something and forget his calculator, right? So he'd sit down, notice he forgot his calculator, and he'd go, nothing but, and he put together swear words in combinations. I just didn't want to just blow this thing up with swear words, but swear words in combinations that you've never heard in your entire life very quickly. And he would run out of breath yelling it, and then he'd stop and he'd come back down. And when he got older, I was super worried that he had like high blood pressure. I was like, Dad, you have to go get tested for high blood pressure. Like, I am terribly afraid for you. He went and got tested, came back fit as a fiddle. And I'm like, how are you healthy? That makes no sense. And it's because the people that have issues with anger, they bottle it up inside. And it's that constant bottling it up and holding on to it that actually causes a lot of the negative health effects. It's not just, letting it out. And that's what he did. He'd let it out and then he'd calm down. And he's fine. Yeah. So I came up in high school. I was pretty much a straight A student. Got into a bunch of real big universities. I wanted to go to a party school. I wanted to go where there was a bunch of kids. And I got into Texas A&M and Clemson, Florida State University, Auburn. I was actually supposed to go to Auburn, and they didn't have any on-campus housing or on-campus housing was full.
All this is purely academic?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So my mom asked me, hey, don't go anywhere, go to West Virginia University. So I actually went to West Virginia University originally pre-med. And I wanted to be a doctor. I'd want to be a doctor my entire life. And when I got there, the partying started. So by the time I left 3 years later, I was at general studies. I stopped going to college. I just said, hey, I don't know what I want to do. I've changed my major a handful of times. I don't want to be a doctor anymore. And there's this really strange story. So I went and shadowed 3 doctors from home when I went home that first semester. And all 3 of them, a very similar instance happened. The doctor would tell me how great it is. I love what I do. I make tons of money. I love helping people, so forth and so on. And as soon as they would leave the room, the wife would hit me with the same thing. And it would be, I don't really think you want to get into this. My husband is super stressed out all the time. He works 160 hours a week. He doesn't see his family. We're $300,000 in debt. And it wasn't once. It was all 3 of those doctors, and all 3 of their wives did the exact same thing. It was very, very odd to me. And that kind of, I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to do this. And, I was spending a lot of time, having fun at West Virginia University. If anybody knows about West Virginia University, it's the #1 party school in the nation for a reason. And you don't get a whole lot done there. So I decided to stop. I spent 2 years at home trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I ended up going back to school, California University of Pennsylvania, which was
Cal U.
Academic.
Shout out Cal U. Let's go.
It was. And great place. Nothing against the school. The curriculum there was, I don't like to say I'm a super intelligent person, anything like that. I do feel like I'm above average intelligence. And
I would like to think so, based on me being ahead of the curve here and knowing what you've done so far in your career. It wasn't on accident.
Yeah. But when I went back to Cal, I was president's list, dean's list every semester. I mean, I killed it there. I had actually started applying myself again. And then when I came out of school, I had met my lovely wife, about a year before that. And we were looking for a job, looking for a place to live. And one of the funny things was when me and her got together originally, she didn't want to date me and I didn't want to date her. And the whole thing was because in our hometown, if you got with somebody in our hometown, you didn't leave.
Yeah.
And nothing against our hometown. I loved where I grew up.
You live that same life, right?
Yeah.
You don't go above and beyond ambition wise.
I loved where I grew up, and nothing against Meadville, PA. You know, shout out to Meadville, PA. I love
shout out Meadville.
Shout out Meadville. But yeah, you know, we just didn't want to stay there. We wanted to go do something else. And Pittsburgh, we'd been to Pittsburgh hundreds of times. Actually, most of my graduating class of my friends all came down here. And that was one of the reasons we didn't, because we've been to Pittsburgh so many times. We want to experience something new. I went and visited Columbus a handful of times, loved it there. And so funny enough, my wife took a job. She was doing oil and gas abstracting. And so she'd dig through these files and find out who owned the mineral rights to all these pieces of property. And she'd go back like 200 years or 150 years. Very, very interesting stuff, I guess.
So I'm familiar with that from my audit career. And, you know, I didn't do it myself, but I know a lot of people that did. It's abstracting on land is a lot of work for oil and gas rights.
Well, what was crazy? Yeah. What was crazy was she worked for a small operation that was it was actually out of Conneaut Lake, which is right next to Meadville. And the other people there were getting super pissed off at her that worked there, because where they would go through, I think, if I don't remember the numbers exactly, but it's more about like,
don't hold yourself to that.
Yeah.
We'll
but
forgive
I think
you.
they were doing like 75 a week or maybe 75 a day, like whatever.
She was crushing them.
She did like 700.
Yeah.
And she was making making them all look bad, like really bad. So actually her manager approached her and was like, listen, I don't even care if you don't work the rest of the week, but once you hit kind of the quota of what everybody else is hitting, you need to stop, and I'll still pay you for the rest of the week. So that's what she did. Yeah. And
I probably got boring quick.
Yeah, for sure. So she actually, we had talked, and Shell was hiring, Shell Gas. There was another abstracting firm. They offered her twice as much money. You know, had a no glass ceiling there. Like she could climb the corporate ladder there. So she took the job. 3 weeks in, one of the people on her project, not her, there was like 60 people working on the Shell project. They forged a signature on some document, some old document to give oil or to give the mineral rights to somebody else, something like that, or maybe nobody owned them and they signed it. Shell found out, fired everybody. Took the project from the company. Company didn't need those people. She got fired. She was there for 3 weeks. So we were now both jobless because I didn't have a job. So we decided, hey, we're going to move to Columbus. So we moved to Columbus. I took a job with New York Life insurance company.
So selling life insurance?
Selling life insurance, doing financials.
You know what? I didn't know that, but it makes sense that you started in selling life insurance. It all comes together for me
services. And I had I got my Series 6, my Series 63, started working on my 7 before I left. But she was actually working 2 jobs, and this is kind of where it kind of gets in the meat and potatoes of the story. So for the first like 6 to 8 months, we were in Columbus. We did okay. Not financially, but Alexis had, thank God, it's my sugar mama. Let me find an amazing woman. First thing, find an amazing woman. It'll change your life. And she had banked $10,000. I had never had $10,000 in my entire life up until that point. And she had banked $10,000 from her job. So we had like a little nest egg. She also had a $14,000 or $7,000 credit card, $7,000 limit on her credit card, $7,000 line of credit. By the end of the 9 months, we had maxed out both of her credit card and her line of credit.
And the cash was gone.
And we weren't doing anything exuberant. We were just living. But when you move to a new city, and she was trying to get into her field, she didn't want to do oil and gas anymore. She wanted to, I'm gonna actually take this off. She didn't want to do oil and gas anymore. She wanted to get into her field. So, designer by trade, absolute monster. So she was trying to apply for designer jobs, but she didn't have any experience. And in that field, everything she applied for was you need 5 years of experience. You need 10 years of experience. And she's like, well, how am I supposed to, and these are entry level jobs. She's like, well, how the hell am I supposed to get the experience?
Yeah. If I can't
get the job.
Catch 22, right?
Yeah. And, so she was working 2 jobs. She actually worked at, a design firm. They hired her, told her she was going to design, and then they put her at the front desk. And then later somebody had made a comment to her that we just needed a pretty face. And I know. And you've met my wife, beautiful girl. So she definitely had that. And that hurt her bad because she's a strong woman. So she was working 2 jobs. I was selling life insurance.
Okay. You're selling life insurance.
I'm still selling life insurance.
I forgot you're selling life insurance.
Oh my God, man. It was, in an industry where the first year, 95% fail. And in the first 5 years, 98% fail. Wow. I was a 25-year-old kid. Now I still consider 25-year-olds kids. You're still a kid over there behind the camera, even though you're 28. 25-year-old, that's a kid. And I was 25. She was 24 at the time. I'm actually 2 years older than her. She just hadn't turned 26 yet. And we were just struggling. Like I moved to Columbus. I didn't have a warm market. I refused to sell to anybody back home because I was like, I'm going to make this and do this on my own, or I'm not going to do it. And we struggled. And I think in that first 18 months, I made $27,000. Wow. Okay. And yeah. And that's why part of the reason why I was so tough. I mean, I might as well just went and got a job at McDonald's. Mm-hmm. McDonald's would have paid me more than selling life insurance. And when you're 25 with no warm market, you're going and talking to 60, 65-year-old business owners about doing life insurance for their company, or, investing their money that they've literally saved up their entire lives, and they're going to give it to you, a 25-year-old kid, to go invest for them that doesn't have a track record of doing that. Like, it's just not going to happen.
So what'd that teach you? What would you say that's the biggest takeaway, right? Obviously,
don't get into selling life insurance. That's the biggest takeaway.
Hey, some people crush it.
Yeah, but most of the people that crush it are guys that they were doing something before. You don't find a lot of 25-year-old kids crushing it in life insurance.
It's a really hard industry to start out. And
it's like, hey, I'm 40. I've got a Rolodex of people from my entire life that I'm going to go sell life insurance to. So, and actually, one of the biggest takeaways was seeing a great model that we've actually taken. So when you start in life insurance, they have you write down a list of your 200 closest friends and family, because that's going to be your warm market. That's who they want you to sell to. And from the life insurance company's perspective, if you sell all those people and then you fail out, well, they still win, because they have 200 new clients that are all your friends and family. They don't need you anymore. Yeah. Once you leave, they're going to give all your clients to an established agent, and that person's going to have their track record and know how to work those people to get more money out of them over time. I mean, it's very intelligent, and they do it for a reason, and they just churn and burn, man. They just bring people in. They don't care. So we did that. And me and Alexis got into bodybuilding. And that's actually a funny story in and of itself. And I don't know how long you want me to go on that. But so a friend of hers, when we moved to Columbus, a friend of hers had done a bodybuilding competition right before that. Fast forward 6 months. She had, and no, I won't mention her name. I love you very much. So I'm not going to say anything negative about this, but she had put some weight on after the bodybuilding show because it slowed down her metabolism. She didn't know how to rebound afterwards. So she ate a bunch of stuff, and she wanted to do another one to kind of get back in shape. And, she called Alexis and said, hey, I need your help. Can you do this with me? And Alexis was like, I can, I'll do it with you. And she came to me and was like, I absolutely don't want to do this. Like, she's not that girl that wants to strut her stuff, even though she's just gorgeous. She's not that person. And,
but you would.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't want to do it either. I had talked about it for so long. So I've been in bodybuilding. I've been in weightlifting and bodybuilding nutrition since I was 4 years old. Like, I was reading bodybuilding magazines when I was like 8. My dad got me my first weight set at 4 years old. I have the pictures from Christmas when I opened up my first weight set. And my dad was this old school bodybuilder. He would do bench press, curls, skull crushers, and shoulder press. And that's it.
Every day.
And then he'd run like 5-10 miles.
7 days a week, right?
So his legs were like this big around, like the size of your wrist. No, my wrists are bigger than my dad's legs at the ankle, right? And he had these little legs, and he just had this big chest. He actually used to pick up cans off the table. We'd get him all riled up. He'd pick up cans off the table, and he'd go. and crush him with his chest. And me and my friends, 16 years old, just go absolutely insane. So anyway, so she tried to talk her into doing this bodybuilding show. And she's like, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it for you kind of thing. Well, Alexis went all in. Like we go all in on everything. Like that's just how we're built. So she says, I'm all in, bought her. And we have no money. Keep in mind, we have no money. Like when I say we're doing bodybuilding, I'm eating 45 hard-boiled eggs a day. That's what I'm doing to be able to bodybuild. I'm drinking a gallon of skim milk.
But you need a cheap
gallon of skim milk. I'm eating cans of albacore tuna that you get from like Dollar General.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's my diet. Yeah. There's
the hard-boiled egg thing I do remember from back when I was in college. I had to eat like 12 a day. So certainly not what you were.
I was eating 45.
Yeah, that's insane.
And then we were eating, and then those days too, we were eating tons of chicken breast, man.
Yeah.
We go to Costco or Sam's Club. We're eating. I feel so bad for these, but we were eating 22 chicken breasts a week.
Both of you. So she was too.
Well, I was. I think between the two of us.
Less,
I think between the two of us.
I mean, either way, right?
Yeah,
she
between
was
the
still
two of
eating
us.
a ton.
It's a lot of chicken breast.
She's throwing down protein just like you were.
Yeah. I mean, we're crushing chicken breasts. Yeah. And no, I'm sorry. 22 chickens worth of chicken breasts a week, not 22 chicken breasts. 22 chickens.
Poor
worth of
chickens.
Chicken breasts.
The poor chicken. Shout out to all the chickens out there.
And because you eat like 4 or 5, 6 times a day, so you're taking it down. So anyway, so she buys her suit, spends a few $100s that we don't have to go do this bodybuilding show, and maybe like 4 months before, the girl called her and said, "Hey, I can't do it."
Oh.
And Alexis is like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it." Blah blah blah. So Alexis, in tears, comes to me and she's like, "What do I do? I already paid for all this stuff. We don't have any money. What are we going to do?"
We're going to do it.
And she's like, "Well, you do it with me." And I'm like, "Oh man."
So we got to find these photos.
Oh, I'll show them to you, dude. Actually, if you guys look on my Instagram, Alex Charles Gerhart, go to the very, very first image on there and you'll see one of my rebounds, because I rebounded too, because I used to go through bulking.
Guys,
season.
when we edit this podcast, here's a note. We've got to get that photo and we've got to put it on the screen.
You can put it up. Yeah, the one that you should put up is actually the one where I lose the weight. So, and I can talk about that too. So,
no. I don't want to hear about that.
I know.
Keep
so
going,
anyway, so she went and so the bodybuilding matters in the grand scheme of this stuff. So anyway, so I lost all this weight, did the bodybuilding show. She did the bodybuilding show. She went and did another one, won first place overall, like killed it. Like she was natural. So it got her a bunch of confidence too. It was a huge confidence boost. And she's an absolutely gorgeous girl. So it was really great. So anyway, the bodybuilding led us into, so getting ready for that first show. I had met a guy from the gym and he noticed, so we did our first show before we moved to Columbus, right? Okay. So when we finally moved to Columbus, it was literally the week of our first show. We did the show, moved to Columbus, and then we had another show the next week. And I had met a guy at the gym and he was into bodybuilding and he, made a couple comments. We had talked. Well, fast forward 18 months later, I'm at the gym. Me and this guy have lifted a bunch of times. He would always wear ratty clothes to the gym. That's just how I'm built. I would never buy, before I would never buy workout equipment. I'm still wear a lot of the same gym shorts I had in like high school and college, and which were now 18 years old, which is also crazy to think about. So all the drawstrings are bad on them.
It's crazy sometimes thinking about it.
But I passed a fireman one day in the gym and he had asked me how his how his retirement worked. And firemen in Ohio are on what's called the drop program. Anyway, it was using a life insurance policy so that he could take full retirement and then still fund, hey, if you die, now your wife will still get paid out the same amount of money because you use a life insurance policy to offset. Because you lose money if you don't take the full the full retirement.
Look at us getting education now on a life insurance policy.
It's crazy.
I did not expect that when we started this podcast. I didn't even know you did that. So
yeah. No, fine. Yeah. And I actually believe in life insurance. The only problem with selling life insurance, here's the issue. I went from a industry where you were selling an intangible asset. It wasn't a belief issue. I had a problem with the mortality and morbidity of selling somebody life insurance, because the way you sell it is not, hey, you need life insurance, take care of your family. That's not how you sell it. You sit down and go, okay, how much is on your mortgage? $200,000. Okay.
Who's going to pay for that when you die?
Oh, and it gets so much more in depth than that. But yes. Yeah. Okay. So if you die, so how much life insurance do you think you need? And they're like, oh, $200,000, cover the mortgage. I said, okay. So your wife makes money? No, she's a stay-at-home mom. Okay. So did the bills stop? Do you still need groceries? Do your kids still need clothes? And you start having that. It is. And it's not that it's not necessary, and it's not that I don't believe in it. It's just I hated doing that. I hated it. And when we switched, so I met this bodybuilder. Heard me talk to this guy about his life insurance and said, oh, hey, you sell life insurance? And I said, oh yeah. And he goes, I said, I do financial services. And he's like, oh, hey, I need life insurance policy. I said, cool. So I showed up the next day. I'm in my suit and stuff. And I was expecting, this guy's going to be $100 a month checko. And a checko just means they're withdrawing $100 a month from your bank account. That's what it was in the insurance industry. That's what the terms are. So anyway, the slang or jargon. So he shows up.
Checko.
Yeah, checko. So he shows up in an $80,000 Mercedes AMG with a $20,000 Rolex and a Louis Vuitton gym bag. And I'm like, what the fuck? There's the first one. I'm like, what? Whoa, what did I miss?
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I mean, you
I watch you at the gym every day. You look like a bum.
Yeah, you look like a bum. Yeah. You look like you just crawled out from under a bridge, and now you're, and I said, what do you do? And he said, oh, I sell roofs. I said, yeah, I do that now too.
Here we go. Okay.
I do that now too. Yeah. And he's like, nah, man, I don't think you'd be a good fit for it. Like, and I was like, no, I think I'd be a good fit for this. Like, let's go. Like, you show me and let me make the decision of whether or not I'm going to make it, Yeah.
I'm done slanging this intangible asset of scaring people the shit out of their lives so they buy
exactly.
life insurance. Yeah.
And now it's totally different. So that next day, that was my first day roofing. And that was I got to think back now. That was 2014. And in 90 days, because it was in late August.
So you took a fully commissioned roofing sales job?
That day I quit.
For this guy?
Yep.
Okay.
Working for that guy.
So he owned the company?
He owned the company.
Okay.
Yeah, he owned the company.
So let me go make you some money.
Yeah.
Let me decide.
And
cool.
And the next day I sold 2 or 3 roofs that very first day.
Just door knocking, huh?
Yeah. Door knocking. I think he had a company lead or something. I went and knocked the neighbors. Like it was like a fish to water, man. Like people used to tell me, I had parents tell me and stuff like, no, you need to get into sales. Like they said that stuff my entire life. You need to get into sales. I'm like, oh yeah. And they tell my parents like I could sell dirt to a farmer, like that kind of weird stuff. So in 90 days before it started snowing, I had put $30,000 in my bank account. I'd outsold every single one of his sales guys for the entire year, and we paid off all of our debt.
Let's go.
90 days. Like 90 days to change in your life, you know? And then it started snowing. And when it snows,
you're not replacing.
You're not door knocking. You're not inspecting roofs, So I sat for a couple weeks. I got a call from LA Fitness, and they've been on me like, hey, come sell gym memberships in the off season. Like, come sell gym memberships. I was like, I don't want to sell gym memberships. Like, I don't want nothing to do with that. And they said, oh, come on, man, you make a lot of money. I said, well, how much is a lot of money? They said, well, you could make $2,500 a week. And I said, okay, I can go do that. That sounds good. Yeah, I can do that for the winter. I'm bored, like whatever. So, and that's the parallel, but from selling life insurance to selling roofs, intangible asset, tangible asset. Every homeowner has a roof. Everybody can see their roof. And, once we get into like, we were doing insurance restoration, which I've actually done for you. We work with the insurance company. If you have,
so you started out in selling roofing and you're already in the restoration. You got your start in restoration or seeing how that works.
I got my start selling for somebody else, seeing how it all works.
Yeah, I know. But it was right away though, the restoration side.
Oh yeah. Right into insurance restoration. And, right,
because there's thousands of roofing companies across the country, and none of them are doing what you guys are doing. So I was curious.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people in the industry that do insurance restoration. There's just not a lot of people that do it right. Yeah, they don't do the right things. There's a lot of. I mean, when you say the word contractor, it automatically puts a negative thought in 90% of people's minds, and there's a reason, because contractors suck. I hate contractors, and I am one. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I'm a contractor anymore. I can get into that, but. I'm not a roofer either. I'm a business owner, and I'm a salesman. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a sales, marketing, and recruiting company.
How many roofs in your career have you ever replaced yourself?
By hand?
Yeah.
So I used to roof when I was 18.
Ah, okay.
So for a summer, I had actually, and I've got pictures, and I can give you those if you want them, of us. And we're out friggin', I mean, I throw bundles of shingles up on my shoulders and carry them up the ladder and get up there.
So
and
we're all full circle now and all of a sudden you're selling.
No, I couldn't believe I came back to it. Like I never thought I was coming back to it. But anyway, I guess I did. So yeah, but you went from, and what's so great about insurance restoration is if they have qualifying damage, they have storm damage to their home, well, the insurance company is going to replace that for them instead of them having to pay out of pocket. And that's what they should pay for their insurance premiums for. Like that's the contract that both the insurance company and the homeowner enter into is, hey, if you take this damage, your insurance policy says we're going to do X, Y, Z, and it depends on the policy and the language in there. But 9 times out of 10, if you have qualifying damage, your roof's in a particular condition, has a particular kind of shingle on it. I mean, there's a lot of little caveats that go into it, but most times we're getting you a full replacement. Before, and the insurance companies have definitely gotten tougher. If anybody out there thinks that the insurance company's your friend, you're in good hands, any of that, the good neighbor, no, they're not.
They're some of the richest companies in the world, and that's for a reason, right?
Yeah, of course. They're a for-profit business. Yeah. They're a for-profit business. So they're not there to just replace your roof. So it's extremely important that you have somebody as an expert, as a professional on your side, because the $1 billion insurance company has a ton of them. They've got executives, and they've got lawyers, and they've got actuaries, and they've got engineers, and they've got adjusters, and then there's little old mom and dad with roof damage, and the insurance company doesn't necessarily want to replace that. I see adjusters as people that go out on behalf of the insurance company to try to adjust the claim down. Now, there are caveats to that too. There are independent adjusters. There are really good people in adjusting, and it's not the adjusters, but sometimes the insurance company imposes their will on good people. Mm-hmm. And then they're put up against, well, if I don't do what the insurance company is telling me to do, then I could lose my job.
Future work. Yeah.
I could lose my job, and so I have to do it this way. And a lot of people will quit and leave and go into other industries. They try to get a lot of guys right out of college too, which I've noticed, to be adjusters, and they just don't teach them any different. They probably, I'm assuming they're in there teaching them that most contractors are bad, and they're going to try to get more money out of the claim than what's owed. So, and we just do it differently. It's fun. I mentioned it to you in the car.
How long were you just in sales for this other?
Yeah. Sorry,
Mr.
I can go in a million different directions.
No, you're good. No, we're going to get there anyways in a second. Yeah. That's why.
So anyway, I went and sold at LA Fitness. At LA Fitness, me, a guy named Omi Patel, my now business partner, Zach Willard, we were top 10 in the country.
At LA Fitness.
In membership sales for 10 weeks straight. At week 10, I left. And they left with me. So about 2 weeks before that, I got sat down by, I think he was like the regional vice president and our GM. And they sat down and
this is all in Columbus too, right?
Yeah, this is in Columbus. It's off of Reynoldsburg Road. They had opened a brand new gym. And they started saying, hey, we've never seen anybody come in and do this. We want to offer you a gym. We want to give you your own gym, make you be a GM, offer you a career. And I looked right at those guys and I said, guys, in 2 weeks, I'm going back to roofing. And as soon as I said it, man, I started getting screamed at. You're going back to roofing? What do you mean you're going back to roofing? Go back to peddling roofs? We're trying to offer you a career. And they just start screaming at me in the middle of the gym, right? So they had me at a desk where all the membership sales are. I mean, if you've been into an LA Fitness, you know exactly where those people sit.
Right into the left of every single place. You got the 8 or 9
every
desks
single place, right? Well, I was at one of those desks. I was at toward the front because I killed it, but they were screaming at me, and I said, yeah, I'm going back to roofing. And they got up and left. And what they hadn't realized that they had done was they made those other 2 guys notice.
I don't want to be there.
No, they just noticed. And they walked over and they were like, what do you know? And I'm like, what do you mean? They said, what do you know? Like, they just offered you a career. We've never made this much money before at the gym. Like, what do you know? And I said, well, you know that, 30, 45 minutes you spend with a customer to make like $100 on your gym membership? He said, yeah. I said, well, with a roof, you can make 1,000. He said, what? I said, yeah, with a roof, you can make $1,000. Show me. I'm like, cool. Same thing with me. Show me, it's almost like Wolf of Wall Street. Like, show me your paycheck and I'll come work for you like right now. So I took my business partner and this other guy, Omi Patel, out, and we went out roofing the next day, and they put in their 2 weeks. And so I hired my business partner now and Omi, and we went out and we had a sales team, and this is kind of when things started to go awry. So,
yeah, right. So walk me now through how you end up with Lifetime Quality Roofing as your company now.
Yeah, sure. So we started seeing things, kind of reading between the lines. And it was one of the best experiences I ever could have had opening a company to see this. But he didn't care about customers. He didn't care about quality of product. He didn't care about doing the right thing. He didn't care about communicating. And these were my customers, When I went and knocked the door, they weren't buying that roofing company. I won't say their name, but they weren't buying that roofing company. Yeah. They were buying me.
They were buying trust in you.
Yeah. And I was going to make sure that they were taken care of. So it was an endless struggle between me trying to take care of the customer and the business itself not doing what it said it was going to do. So, and I mean, all kinds of stuff. From my accounting standpoint, you would have been driven crazy. I was a 1099 subcontractor in sales. Half weeks, they'd pay me a check out of the owner's bank account. Other half, they'd pay me as a W-2 and take taxes out. I was at 1099.
Yeah, so they were doing all kinds of weird stuff.
They were doing all kinds of weird stuff. And I don't know why. It was really, really weird.
Probably because they didn't know what the hell they were doing, right? Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to be real. But
well, and one day I found a letter from one of the building suppliers that he hadn't paid like a $20,000 or $30,000 monthly statement. And they were sending them to collections. Like there was things that I saw. But it was one of the best experiences I ever could have had. Because when you see somebody that runs their business so poorly, you can do one of two things. You can pick up and leave and go to a better place, or you can build one.
Yeah, man. I'm not going to get into it on this, but like literally, this is probably my number one coaching advice I give everybody. The people that are the most successful in life come from watching and observing around them and recognizing what people are doing wrong. And then when you're in a position to have the ability to do something differently, you actually act and execute on that.
Yeah.
I mean, everything I've learned, all of the execution that I've done, the success that CityLife has had, has literally been built on the backs of me watching and observing what other people are doing wrong.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree with you more there.
No, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. And a lot of people don't see that though. And now, and I still make mistakes. I mean, that's part of owning a business. I mean, you make mistakes. Just now that you own the business, your mistakes are freaking expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive and way more. Yeah, they have way more risk and outcome.
Absolutely, way more liability. To sign up. I mean, just think about it.
So you saw all those things and basically, all right, I'm done. I'm going to start this on my own, just like that.
Yeah, me and my business. So I actually, me and him keep going back and forth because now it's been 8 years and we cannot remember. He either approached me or I approached him and said, "Hey, I'm leaving," and the other one was like, "Yeah, I am too. Like, I'm going to go start my own roofing company." And we had a conversation and it was like, let's go start one together. Yeah. And Lifetime Quality Roofing was born, so we filed the paperwork and went, rolled with it. So
what year was that?
2015.
2015.
So July 31st, 2015 is when we had our official documents. I actually just checked the Ohio Business Search and they used the date of our application, which was actually in June, like June 15th. So so we've been celebrating our anniversary on the wrong date every year. So that's good.
I think you'll live
7 years. Yeah, it's fine. I'm still saying it's January or July 31st. So I started our own company that first year. So the old owner still owed me $40K and I had to be there in order to get it. So I wasn't going to go do anything. I was just going to collect my money. So I stopped selling roofs, just collected my money and then went out and started doing my own thing. My business partner went right out.
So you were hiding it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So coming in the next year though, we had decided, hey, we want to start hiring sales guys. And this is where the story really starts to accelerate forward with the company.
How old are you now in 2015?
So I would have been 28, I think. Yeah. 36 now. Gosh, terrible to think about. It was right before my 28th birthday. Right before my 29th birthday. So we started our own thing. And when we started our company, we were going to communicate to all customers. We were going to do what we said we were going to do. We're going to act in an ethical and professional manner at all times. Cause I like to be able to sleep at night. Like that's something that,
you're inherently creating your core values, right?
Of course. I don't want to feel like, think about the contractor connotation. It's terrible. I don't want to feel like I screwed people over for money. Like, I want to be able to sleep at night. I want to be able to do the right thing. I want my kid to be proud, my wife to be proud of the things that I do. And that all wears on me very, very much. So when we were struggling, me and my wife were, before roofing, we were in a corner, huddled in a corner every month, crying.
Mm-hmm.
And
making no money, right? Because every dollar you did make was going back into scaling.
Every money, no money. No. This was before.
Okay.
This was before. This one I'm selling life insurance.
Well, okay.
Like we couldn't afford our freaking bills, man. Like, we were in a corner, huddled, crying every month. What are we going to do? How are we going to pay this? I had to borrow $10,000 from my parents to kind of pay down some debt and like make our rent payments. We called our parents, and thank God for our parents that they were there to help us. Because if they wouldn't have been, I don't know where we'd be right now, And then when roofing came along, man, it was just dumping fuel in the jet,
So once you guys started this company, right? Like, how fast it was like, making money, quote unquote. I get it reinvesting, but really where it was like, hey,
we made money the first year. I won't get into profit margins and stuff like that, but we made money the first year. We did like 1.8 million. So at the end of every year, we would sit down with all of our sales guys.
Top line 1.8 million in year one.
Yeah. And the sales guys, what's great about sales guys is they will literally tell you everything that's wrong with your company. Every little thing. So we'd sit down with those sales guys and be like, all right, guys, what happened this season? What can we do better? And we'd use those because at that time we didn't work during the winter. So at that time we would use the winters to build. Just for
the record, did you essentially steal the other owner's business model? Just know you're going to do it the right way.
No, not necessarily. Just the insurance restoration part. His systems were bad. Yeah. Okay. They were bad.
But how you made money was through the restoration, which is how the old company was making.
Yeah.
At the top level, strategically, it was.
Yes.
Yeah, we can go sell roofs and actually get the money from somebody else.
Yes.
At the end of the day, right? If you really had to boil it down. Right?
Sure.
So if I can go convince this person to need a new roof and I can convince this person to pay it, everybody wins.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Well, and it wasn't really a whole lot of convincing if they had damage. It's more of.
Yeah, you're right. I'll take that word back.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We just, our whole thing, our whole model is, I'm here to help you as the homeowner, the property owner. But I'm trying to work hand in hand with your insurance company to get you taken care of. This does not have to be an adversarial thing. Like a lot of the roofing community sees the insurance companies as their adversaries. We never saw that.
How do you guys convince the insurance company though that you're not their enemy?
Man, you just have to. So a lot of it is relationship building with the adjusters because that's the frontline people, right? So when you get on a roof with an insurance adjuster, you're not just, this is, and again, shitty contractors. Like, you're not like, this is damage, you need to pay for this, replace this roof, and like you arguing with them. You're just, hey, how's your family? How you doing? Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Like, and you start conversations. You become friends with the guys. Like, you're not. Neither of you are there to do anything wrong. You're just there to take care of the homeowner.
Everybody's there to do their job.
Exactly. I'm just there to do my job. You're just there to do yours. You're the professional representation of the insurance company. I'm the professional representation for the homeowner. Me and the homeowner's interests are aligned. You and the insurance company's interests are aligned.
Yeah, but let's work together to do what's right.
Let's work together to do what's right. And like I said, a lot of those adjusters, a lot of them are really, really great people. And they want to do right by the homeowner. A lot of them are just handcuffed by what the insurance company tells them they can and can't do. So that first year we did 1.8 million. The end of every year we would sit down with our people. We'd have meetings. We'd cover, hey, these are the big issues. Let's start creating systems, processes, and things for scaling. And the thing about scaling is what works at 1 million doesn't work at 2, or 2 doesn't work at 3. So at the end of every year, that is first 3 years, we were changing. We weren't changing everything, but it was wild to see new people we brought on and what they would complain about. So that first year, like, just for an instance.
For the record, hold on. We're gonna go ahead and change, right? It's not about what they complain about. It's the opportunity they presented to us to give.
Yes, better. Of course. So the opportunity they present. So, but a
Which
lot of it's
true, by the way.
A lot of it's legitimate.
I know you look at it that way too. It's why you've had such success.
Yeah, and it's relative and it's all perspective. So reality is relative to the person perceiving it. That's what it is. It's always going to be that way.
For sure. How does it affect us, right?
Yeah, of course. If you grow up as a rich kid and your dad has a Bugatti and you live in a mansion, like, that's the life that you know. Yeah. Like, you don't know poverty. You don't know. Yeah. No, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying when you come into something, you're only going to see it relative to you and the interactions you have in your environment. So we'd have new guys come in that first year, material might sit out at a homeowner's house for a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, just waiting to be picked up because we didn't have material handlers at that time. So we identified that, said, hey, this is an issue. So we started picking them up, and now they're being picked up like in a week. And you would see the sales guys being like, man, this is BS. Like, these materials sat out here all week. And I'm like, yeah, but last year it was 3. Like, everything's getting better, And when you're a brand new company, you want to focus on the big things first. So taking care of the customers, making sure production was clean. So we did that at the end of every year. So the second year we did 3.5 million. Third year we did 4.3. And when
I don't know, year 2 to year 3 growth.
I know, wasn't that great? So we sat down and we had this meeting with all of our sales guys, and this was the year that things kind of started taking off. So had this meeting, and when we started talking to all these sales guys, they started,
are you profitable where, you're not struggling to pay your rent that month at that point in time?
Yeah, we're profitable.
Cool.
Yeah. We actually, the construction industry sees generally about 9% net profit on the business. You're
above that.
Far and above.
Cool.
Yeah. Not like that. I don't understand how.
That's a really amazing testament to you guys, right, in your company, to be able to create margins, especially early on. That's the real challenge in any business, especially the really good salesman. You can create top line.
Yeah.
I know you can create top line. I've seen your work, right? I've seen your magic, but creating the bottom line too.
So, well, a lot of it was, and when you're starting out too, you put it on your back. You're the entrepreneur. You're the business owner. You are the business.
I'm sure you're out there selling too. Some.
We did.
Yeah.
We sold those first few years. Yeah. And then I'd spend 60 hours a week. Mm-hmm. So me and Zach kind of split. Zach's my business partner. Me and Zach kind of split, and I was doing supplementation, accounting, writing estimates for the insurance companies, more of that stuff. He started into production, but right off the rip.
When you say production, essentially running the crews and
building.
Houses.
Yeah. Yes. Ordering materials, scheduling, running the roof side. He did it for a short time. Then we hired our first employee. He was actually our second employee. We hired a secretary first, and then we hired Joe Vance. Joe Vance is still with us
because your sales guys were all 1099, so technically called employees.
Yeah. So our first employee was our secretary, Debbie, who was great. And then Joe Vance. Joe Vance, like I said, still with us to this point. He was actually our first C-suite level executive. Nice. He runs production for the entire country now. I absolutely love the man. We would not be here. We would not be here without him. We wouldn't. It was great to have somebody. He had this long record of, he used to be a foreman at a big manufacturing plant. He ran production for Sims Lohman, took him from 25 installs a week to 125, ran his own business for a while. Like he is the exact knowledge, like he's the experience we needed coming in. And he was very calm. So I'm high energy. So was Zach, my business partner, who has actually come way down in his energy. He's actually calm now too. I went the opposite direction. I went straight up, straight through the moon. I'm 2-3 times as energetic now. So Joe was running production. Zach actually went and started doing sales, kind of helping out running the sales team. We did hire a sales manager second year. And I was actually helping with sales and doing supplementing, accounting, the business side. Yeah. And that was rough. That was a rough couple of years. We were probably working 80, 90 hours a week, pretty easy every week. But that's what you do.
Where are you at now?
What am I at? Work hours?
Where's the company at now?
So that third year, now here, I'll fast forward too, so I don't take up too much time on this, but so that third year we said sat down with those sales guys. They said, everything's great. Like, you guys have smoothed this out. My homeowner's all happy. Everything's really good. And me and Zach sat down and we said, what are we going to do now? Because we got a really good thing. We're making $5 million, making just under $5 million a year. I mean, we could just let it run and just let it be where it is. And we looked at each other and we were like, fuck that. Like, let's take this. Let's take this to the moon. Mm-hmm. And that next year we sold $20 million in roofs. We collected $13.7 million in revenue, sold $20 million in roofs. Next year, $22 million. Next year, $32 million. This last year we sold $65 million worth
of roofs.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. This year is going to be over 100.
How much of that would you is on like the restoration side, right? So just real quick. Right. The restoration side is essentially, hey, something's wrong with the roof. We're going to come replace it, but we're going to win an insurance claim, or we're going to work with the insurance claims to get that paid. That's what we'd call the restoration side. There's probably a piece of your business, a huge piece of your business is that. And then some of your roofing, I'm assuming, is just what you'll probably call retail or commercial work. I don't know what you call it, where it's just, hey, we'll do your roofs and you've got to pay us. Right.
Yeah. Retail. So we're only about 5
So 95% of your business is
all
restoration
insurance
work, all insurance work.
Yeah.
So if the claim gets denied for whatever reason, essentially you don't have a deal.
We do turn a lot of those people into retail customers. Actually, a large.
The fact of the reality is, and I know you'll probably say it right, but you have a great conversion rate.
We do have a really good conversion rate. It's actually it used to be like 95% of the roofs that homeowner. The thing is, the conversion rate is it's a fickle thing because I can't control one, whether or not there's damage. I can't control whether or not the insurance company is going to pay for it, even if they should. I can only control what I can control. And that's my communication with the homeowner, us doing the right thing. And if the insurance company, and we have fought the insurance companies before on roofs that should be replaced per the state, guidelines and everything else. But a lot of the states have like public adjusting, licensing acts and different things, which there's a line that we can't cross. I can't argue with an insurance adjuster on policy. I can show them the damage. I can make my recommendation to the homeowner and them as a licensed contractor that's done over 10,000 roofs. But at the end of the day, that's their call. And if they don't do the right thing, then I have a bunch of other professionals that have those particular licenses. If I could carry both, I would. I could be a licensed public adjuster today. Yeah. But the problem is in a lot of states like Ohio, I can't get my public adjusting license and run a roofing company. They see it as a conflict of interest. Yeah. They see it as a conflict of interest, which makes absolutely no sense. Like, why does it matter? Why does it matter if I'm helping you? I'm arguing with the insurance company and get your roof replaced, and then I'm the one putting your roof on. If they're only paying one price, then what's the difference? Yeah. If the homeowner needs to get a public adjuster involved to make the insurance company do the right thing, why is the homeowner on the hook for the fees to the public adjuster? And then have to pay the roofing contractor too.
I can see it a little bit, right? If you're the adjuster, you're easily you're going and you injure the contractor. In theory, you're going to approve a lot more because you're going to get the work. So I get that. Right?
Well, no, but you're not the one approving it. The insurance company still has to approve the work. You're just
but they're relying on the adjuster.
Yeah, you're just able to. No. They have their own adjuster too. So these are two adjusters that are kind of arguing over, hey, this should get done, and then it's on a public adjuster to help. But they can just take it to another level. They can actually argue policy on behalf of the homeowner to make sure that the insurance company is doing the right thing. Hold them to statutory, timelines. Like, hey, they have after I make this statement, they have 30 days to come back and make a decision and do the right thing. Like those kind of things. But I just don't see as a contractor, like in the state of Illinois, you can do both. You can be a public adjuster and a contractor. And if I'm not charging the homeowner to do the public adjusting, I don't see what the issue is. I don't see where the conflict is. What I see is that a lot of insurance companies have a lot of money and they control the politics. Yeah. We've seen it in Florida. We've had to sue. We sued the state of Florida in federal court because the insurance companies brought a bill to Florida politicians. They brought a report. And that report said that $40 billion of insurance fraud was being caused and they spun it and said, we can stop $40 billion of insurance fraud if we can stop roofing contractors from being able to assist homeowners in filing insurance claims in the state of Florida. What they didn't say was that report was not about roofing contractors. That report was about fraud over property and casualty, health insurance, auto, medical, everything. It was over everything. And they just put it in a book and said, here, look, we can wipe this 40 billion out. And they brainwashed them. Then when it started to lose traction because people were becoming aware that there was a problem, they went behind closed doors the last day before Florida legislation, last day before the session, and came out with a new bill the next day with 1 day left. And with like 45 minutes left in the session, they approved the bill, which didn't make any sense. You know what the bill said? It said that if you were a licensed roofing contractor in the state of Florida, you could not say the word insurance to a homeowner or else face a $10,000 fine per occurrence.
So you guys sued?
So it went to Ron DeSantis' desk. And in that 3 weeks, we said, hey, Ron DeSantis is a Republican governor. There's no way that he's going to punish a bunch of blue-collar, hardworking Americans that own these roofing companies, because it's hundreds of thousands of jobs in the state of Florida and hundreds of millions of dollars back into the Florida economy each year. And he signed it. And we were like, No way. Within 48 hours, we had a federal lawsuit filed for First Amendment right violations. Because me as a licensed roofing contractor, I couldn't say the word insurance to you, but the guy behind the camera can look at your roof from across the street, see you're missing shingles, and tell you you should file an insurance claim. Hey, you have wind damage on your roof. I got my roof paid for. You should file an insurance claim. But if I said, hey, you have wind damage, you could file an insurance claim on this, $10,000 fine. If I left door hangers or sent out door hangers to 100 people, $10,000 fine per occurrence. So, and within about a month, we got an injunction against the state of Florida. A federal judge threw it out. Yeah. He said, he put an injunction in place, which just meant we're not doing anything. You guys can continue to do business as usual. Which was a huge win for our industry. Actually, for a time there, they kept calling us like the saviors of the industry and stuff like that for insurance restoration. It was huge. It was a big FU to the insurance companies trying to change these laws. Yeah. And then when Hurricane Ian hit last October, there was no hold bar. There was nothing we could do. They held special legislative session and passed a bunch of laws that screwed Florida homeowners. And if you actually look, not to get too far into this, we're here to talk about business, but if you actually look, the Wall Street Journal did a whole expose and exposed all this stuff going on with all this fraud going on down in Florida. And then they just came out and actually Donald Trump made a statement about DeSantis recently because he took $3.3 million in charitable donations from the insurance companies. Patronus, who is supposed to be the guy that's regulating the insurance industry, took $2 million in charitable donations. So those guys took money from the insurance companies and sold out Florida homeowners.
Wow.
Yeah.
So probably got about 10 minutes left here, right? What I want to pick your brain on a little bit here is, right? So I don't know, you'll probably 65 million last year. I'll do the math. That means you'll probably do maybe 100 million this year in revenue.
I mean, yeah, it's low, but yeah. We can do
What's the number this year, you think?
We budgeted for 132, honestly. I actually think we could hit 150.
Nice.
I think we can hit 150.
Obviously, so, you joined the boardroom 9 months ago, as you mentioned. And so you're looking, obviously you're still crushing it there. You're looking to do some other things. I know you're dabbling in real estate. You're in on a deal with us. You've actually had a deal you're in on with us at CityLife right. Here as a CityLife investor. You actually won us an insurance claim for one of our, you didn't win us, right? You represented us to ensure that we got what was fair from our insurance Correct. Company for our roof. But you're moving more and more into the real estate from an investment perspective. I know your wife, Alexis, that we talked about, she's, kind of heading up the show a little bit for you on that side. So what's next for you there?
So, real estate, we really got into real estate because the roofing company was generating good income, good cash flow to us, good profits. And then we were paying huge tax bills. And me and my business partner met like 3-4 years ago and said, hey, we got to do whatever we can to get rid of these tax bills. So we started just doing research. And we actually had met with our CPA in November and said, hey, well, we haven't met with you all year. What are we going to do about these tax bills? And he said, well, you need to buy new trucks. And we're like, okay. Like, is that it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Great. Yeah. Which was nothing. Yeah. And then, so we went and got new trucks.
So now I go get 55 trucks. Yeah. What do I do with them?
Yeah. Well, we got 2 new trucks, but it didn't do anything. So we wrote these huge tax, checks to the IRS. And then the next year we started diving into it deeper and deeper and deeper. And when we met with him earlier this year, we said, hey, what do you know about cost segregation studies? Did some research, found out you can get all this depreciation through real estate. And he said, against your tax liability. And he said, well, I'll look into it. Well, a week later, he sent out an email to all of his clients saying, cost segregation studies, a great way to save money on your taxes. And we're like, this is not our guy. Like, we just brought you this. You should be telling us. You're the CPA. You're the professional. And then that's when we learned, as you know, CPAs are there to file your taxes. Tax strategists are there
100%.
To strategize your tax plan, to make sure you can save as much money as possible.
And they can be the same people, but at the end of the day,
of course,
right? You got to find the right tax strategist, the right business advisor.
And over time, those people, that group changes, because as you change and you grow, those people need to change because you're going to hit their limits, and you need to find that next person that's
100%.
more experienced, that knows more people, that knows more about the things that you're specifically getting into, like real estate.
I'll tell you this, right? To your point, I mean, whether it's your advisors, your tax accountants, your employees, your business partners, all of those things, if you always continue to try to be a really good person, it's okay to outgrow each other.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And you continue to evolve and adapt. And as long as the relationship is strong,
of course,
you can go different directions and not create adversarial relationships.
They should want you to.
Correct.
They should want you to. They should be the ones telling you, hey, you need to go work with somebody else because I've hit my limit with you. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys won't do that, but you know, good guys that you have good relationships absolutely will. They just say, or they say, your stuff is becoming so complicated, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
So we actually went out and purchased a 60,000 square foot multi-tenant triple net property, all commercial property, and a 46 unit multifamily complex. Like, we jumped single family homes and went right into commercial and got a huge, cost segregated both the buildings, got a big old tax write-off, and we were hooked, man. We've been buying buildings since. Our portfolio currently sits probably around 16 million, something like that.
So where you, as you guys continue to evolve, right? I mean, obviously you are incredibly busy running a $150 million revenue roofing company, right? How do you look at it from kind of the operational side in the real estate space compared to the passive side, right? And so you've learned a lot over the last 9 years. So you're mastermind learning the limited partner investments compared to owning it yourself. And like, what have you learned about that, or where do you see yourself going from that perspective? And give us a little bit of insights in your mind there.
So I am incredibly fortunate to have an extremely strong wife, partner, best friend. Like, me and my wife are best friends. And like I said, I wouldn't be where I am today without her in my life. I know that. And she does not get enough credit. Everybody always, even when we joined Boardroom, they wanted to talk about my roofing company. Like, they didn't care, and I see
it's a little bit of the challenge in that whole different world, but we don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
And that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the roofing company's a monster, and I built it so quick that people want to talk about it. It's exciting.
Talk about the success. Yeah.
So from that perspective, it's amazing.
And by
now.
The way, really quick to that point, right? It's a problem with society and a problem with success. Everybody wants to talk about historical success and not as much about where we're going.
Right.
I love talking about where we're going, especially with visionaries like yourself.
Yes. And it's because it's so exciting.
Yeah. Even the podcast, we just spent an hour plus on where you were.
Yeah, I know. And it's so funny. And the exciting part is actually where we're headed. Yeah. So Alexis is actually building, overseeing, and multiplying our real estate portfolio right now. I am prime focused on the roofing company every single day. So you asked a couple of things. What's the difference, operationally? So operationally, when you buy a large commercial asset, and this is one of the reasons we did it in the passive income space, if you get a really, really good property manager, I know you're a property manager as well. It's one of the companies that you own. Really good property managers are worth their weight in gold. They can make or break the success of an asset that you have in the commercial space. Or
shout out CityLife Property Management.
CityLife Property Management. Let's go. But yeah, no, sorry about that. And they honestly can. They can make or break your facility, expenses and cash flow, and being able to rent those units and being able to keep people and giving you advice on, hey, I think we should do this, and this is where we can save money. Those things, those relationships are worth their weight in gold. From the GP LP side, I absolutely love getting into funds and syndications.
Okay.
I love it because what I can do is, especially inside Boardroom, I can give my money to somebody that I trust, because great people like Kent have gone through and vetted those people to the absolute extreme to make sure that they are a good fit for Boardroom, and that we will get our money back in most instances, which is the thing. And Kent will ensure that we don't get screwed over, which I love. But the people in that room, I feel like we can trust each other, and then I can give my money to somebody like you, who I know I can trust, who now I've become friends with, who is going to go out, you're going to grow my money, bring it back to me with friends, and I can go focus on my core business. I learned a long time ago, the best money I can ever invest, it's in myself.
Yeah.
I get the highest ROI when I take money and I can put it into myself or my business. Like, absolutely. But when I make money, If I leave it sitting in a bank account, it loses. And I drive my wife crazy with this stuff. But if I have money in my bank account, I'm losing every day.
Yeah.
Because inflation is robbing me of my wealth, you know? So being able to go out and give it to people that are going to go grow my wealth while I can go focus on my business is, you know, it's one of my biggest keys to success at this point is being able to work with others. I mean, there's a book called Who Not How. I know you're familiar with it. One of the best books. If you guys haven't read this book, you have to read this book or just live this life. And the biggest portion of this is if you go find somebody else that's a specialist in a given area, you don't have to spend the 10 or 15 years gaining that experience. You can just pull them in, partner up with them on something. And then when you have a big idea and they have a big idea and you combine, man, you can take this stuff to the moon.
Talk about it all the time, right? And of course, I'm a huge fan of the Who Not How book, right? But when you think about partnerships and relationships and different pieces of what you're trying to do in your life, like there's no doubt about it that I can get to certain places. You can get to certain places. We all can get to certain places. It's just a matter of how fast we want to get there. The Who Not How concept, the partnership concept, the boardroom concept, the mastermind theory, all of those things is about suppressing that time.
Yes.
Really pulling all of that forward. And time can literally our mentors, what he says, the time is now, right?
Time is now.
How do we suppress
Always.
that? And I've never been a bigger subscriber in my life to that. It's like, why wait till I'm 45? Why not when I'm 40? Why not right now?
Yeah.
Right? What am I waiting for? Why am I trying to do certain things if somebody else can get me there exponentially faster? What do I have to give up?
Yeah.
I'll give it up. Let's go, because this is where I want to be.
It's all a math equation too, from a finance guy, from the CFO of real estate. It's all a math equation. I actually literally have it written in green marker on my window where only I can see it against the sky, since nobody else's fucking business. And it says, my business is a math equation to success.
I love that.
And it sits right on my window. And like I said, anybody else in that room, somebody comes, sits and has a meeting with me, they can't see it because it's in green. It's on my glass window, but against the blue sky, I can see it. And it's true. You have to understand if I can take, because it's all a time equation, right? We took so long to pull the trigger on C-suite level individuals. And it was one of the biggest mistakes we ever could have made. If I would, when I talk to high level individuals and they're like, you don't have a C-suite, you should have got one 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, because of your growth. And then we actually went and did those things. It's been a game changer, which is something, again, Kent, more power to you, buddy. Kent and Eddie, they helped me find a COO that was a good fit. They talked, the first meeting I ever had with Kent, I sat down with him. He goes, you need to hire a COO. 100%. You need somebody to run the operations of your business so you can go do what you do best.
Which is
I'm a sales guy. I'm a sales guy. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not meant to go run the operations of that company. And my company suffered, not because I'm not good enough, but my company suffered because think about how much freaking money the opportunity cost of what I could have brought in sales and everything else from me not having the time to go do that. And I actually just explained this to somebody the other day. It's very easy. If you make $500,000 a year in 50% of your time, and the other 50 is spent in the operations of your business or spending time in your business, if you hired somebody for $100,000 a year to cover that other 50%, so now you have the ability to go make $1 million. You just made yourself $400,000 by paying that person $1.
Yeah, without doubt.
And that's what it is.
We invested early from day one in our team and our surroundings, and I'm a huge believer in that.
Well, your team's your competitive advantage.
Yeah,
that's
100%.
what it is. People. It's people. What we do, what you do, it's easy.
100%.
People are hard.
People are hard.
People are hard.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
Same
people
page
are hard.
there.
So we went and hired a COO. He started Jan 1 of this year. 25 years of experience being the operation head for a company. He went from 15 to 70 million. They got bought out by Grainger. He worked as an operational head at Grainger, which is a $12 billion company or something. So bringing him in, man,
changed everything.
Oh my God. It put rocket fuel back. I get excited hold on, I'll talk about this real quick.
Go for it.
I get to be excited every single day. Every day. I walk into the office, and one of the biggest things is now that I have the operational person there, I choose to work. Choosing to work can change your life. It can change it changes your perspective. It changes everything. I'm not forced to go in every day to make sure money goes into our bank account so my family can survive. I choose to go in so I can blow this motherfucker up.
I love that.
So I can take this to the moon. There are no rearview mirrors on this rocket ship. None.
Let's go.
Because I'm not looking back. I only look forward, right?
Ready to take a job with you.
Man, I've been walking into that office and the energy just lifts. I can't not, like they're having a sales meeting. I can't not go in there and talk to those guys. I just can't. I am so impassioned about what we do. I love it so much. It's not the making money part of it. Making money is it's a secondary benefit. It's secondary. You know, it indirectly can happen with the things that I want to do. I just want to live a good life. I want to see people change their lives. I want to change my life. I want to build wealth. I want to give my daughter, and oh my God, having a kid was a total different mindset. Because now finding your why, and not to get too far down that road, but finding your why in your life is an extremely powerful thing to happen. And once I had my daughter, there was no longer questions of, and I did things for my wife before that and myself, but it was success. I did it for success purpose. To win. You know, for success. We did it for money. We did it for success, whatever. To win. Yeah. I was always competitive and business.
Everybody is.
Dude, business is a game, except it's the best game. It's and life. When you win,
business is winning at life.
Yeah. But when you win, the payment or the reward is money. Mm-hmm. And then the money buys you freedom.
Not a trophy. You don't like trophies?
I don't care about trophies. Napoleon Bonaparte said that a man will lay down, and I'm not going to quote it specifically, but you can get a man to lay down his life for a yellow ribbon, you know, for a trophy. Yeah. People do. That's what buys people into a culture is not trophies, but giving them that attention for their successes and the things that they do right. But once I had my daughter, my why completely changed. I don't do anything for me anymore. No, I do it for her.
So our kids the same age, right? I'm in the same boat, right? Like one of those, and I do, like, to me now work is my fun. So I work every second I can because I love it so much, similar to you. But outside of that, I'm like, I don't think that I've done a single thing for myself because all I do is work and be with my family. I do it for them, right? To create the goal being generational wealth for them so that they're set up if something ever happens to me, right?
Yeah. Well, and everybody thinks, man, like this is and I do things for my wife. Again, I love my wife, Alexis, so much.
You haven't said it yet on the podcast.
I will keep saying I love you so much.
Shout out Alexis.
Shout out Alexis. And she is one of the smartest women I've ever met. She, I've talking about this materialism and all this stuff. So like everybody thinks like when you don't have money, you do it for a lot of times you do it for the money, right? You don't have money, you do it for the money and what the money can bring you. And you think that hitting these, the sitting up on this pedestal somewhere is success and what success means. And success means having a big house, having a car, whatever. And I've wanted a Ferrari or a Lamborghini since I was a kid. Like every guy wants a Lamborghini or Ferrari, like it's everyone, And when I got older, I kept pushing it. Like, it's not that it was not that we didn't have the means to go do it. I was like, no, I'm going to go take this money invested in real estate. I'm going to go do these things that you're going to keep building wealth. Like, it just doesn't make any sense once I started getting older. And eventually I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go out and get a sports car. I want a sports car. We're going to do it. So the very first day I sit down in it, me and her go to pick it up. We're in Florida to pick it up, sit down in the car. We're actually at a real estate event. Are we at Boardroom? We were at Boardroom the weekend we picked it up. And the very first one. All right, Scale and Escape. Scale and Escape. Which, Kent got me too with the Instagram post now that you're talking about it. I spoke on stage with Ed Milet back in March. He came on right after me. I had no idea who he was. Also funny. Hey, shout out to Ed Milet. No idea who he was. Get off stage. He's standing there. He's like, hey, great job. I was like, oh, cool. And he's like, yeah, I said, oh, hey, while we're standing here, do you want to get a picture? Because they were taking my mic off, putting his on. He goes, yeah. He goes, you listen to my podcast? So I said, no, I don't know who you are. He said, I think you'd really like it. And I took a picture with him. I got it on my Instagram. Didn't know he was one of the best motivational speakers on the planet.
I mean, he literally is.
And he is best on the planet. Yeah. So I had been looking for things with Ed Milet. Scale and Escape popped up, targeted by Kent. Had no idea who Kent was. Then Kent got me in a room with Kent. Kent's a beast. Oh, but anyway, so we pick up this car. I sit down in it. We start driving, and she looks over at me. She goes, "Do you feel any different?" No. I said, "No." And she goes, "Because you're not different. This doesn't make you different."
Love that. Did you take it back? Did you keep it?
No, I've absolutely. I kept it, and it's awesome. It's awesome. It's just but she said basically, hey, it's cool, but it's a really nice toy.
Yeah, it's a
toy. I'm like, it's a car.
It's a depreciating.
That's all
toy.
It is. It's a depreciating, exactly. So when all these guys get all pumped up and they want to drive Lamborghinis, they want to drive Ferraris, they want to drive this stuff. I mean, yeah, that's cool. It is, and it's cool. It's cool to have one. It's fun. It's nice to drive around on sunny days, stuff like that.
I'll never have a sports car.
But it's just
I don't fit in them.
But that's it though. Yeah, you're super tall.
Yeah.
But that's it though. It is what it is. It's just a car. It's just like anybody else's car. It has 4 wheels and an engine. Takes you from place A to place B.
I'll take life experiences all day over
man.
Toys.
All day.
So look, we've got a couple minutes left, right? So with everybody, I end it with, what I call my final 3 here, right? So I start with essentially, right? By the way, incredibly impressive. And what I think about you already. We've had, side conversations, just absolutely phenomenal, man. So proud of you. And
thanks, brother.
The business you build and where you're going and how straight and narrow and focused and where your head's going. So with that being said, where do you see yourself in 5 years, 5 more years from now?
So I feel like our business doubles every year. And I honestly think that we're 4 doubles away from $1 billion.
I think with $1 billion roofing company, that's where your head's at?
First, yeah.
What about on the real estate side or, family side?
I want to build about $100 million portfolio. I think that's the problem is every time I get around people that are doing it big, I only go bigger. Not because of them, but in my mind, and when you close in on those things, they change because you change as a person, your goals change. They always set higher. And once we get to $100 million in real estate, it's not going to be $100 million anymore. It'll be 5.
Yeah.
It'll be 500 million. It'll be a billion. I just don't see an end to it. And I could, and I've talked about retiring. I've talked about taking days off, and it's all talk. I could not do that. I've tried to take a day off. It is the most boring crap ever. Ever. If I have my family there, it's one thing, but I've actually hey, I'm going to take a boat day. I'm going to go out on the boat one day, and I hit a bunch of my friends up, and they can't go. Because all my friends are pretty much W-2 employees, or they have 9-to-5 jobs or whatever, and they can't. So I took a Friday off. I was the only one that could take Friday off. So you know what I did that day? I worked. Yeah. Because that's what I do.
I talk about all the time. People are and even my wife and everybody, when's enough? And when do you see that all happen? And I said, well, I certainly know I'm never going to retire and sit on a beach because that's just not me. And number 2, right, I'm gonna have to work anyways. So I might as well work on myself, work on my business, work on scaling. If I'm going to be working, I might as well try to be the best version and build the biggest thing I possibly can. I work less now than I ever did in corporate America.
Yeah.
I work less total hours. So it's I'm going to work anyways. I might as well be winning and extremely successful at doing it, right? That's what I'm after. I might as well be, right? Because I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah. And there's a thing about people with wealth or people that are successful, and everybody just says, oh, they work really hard. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit.
I totally agree.
I've met people that don't work at all that make tons of money. What I feel like it is life is all about doorways. It's all about doorways. And the majority of people, the 99%, they walk with their head down their entire lives till they're 65, and somebody tells them that they have enough money to retire. Or now with 401k programs, I won't even get into that. They don't. 70, 75 years old, as we keep extending life, that money doesn't go as long, and people have to get jobs doing Walmart greeting and stuff. And, and it's all about these doorways, right? Entrepreneurs and people that are successful choose to open those doors and walk through them, because those doors are all opportunity. That's what it is. That's all it is. It's not hard work. I've met people that work 2 or 3 jobs that are the most hardworking people I've ever met in my life, and they don't have 2 pennies to rub together, because it's all about opportunities and taking advantage of them when they're presented to you. I've had so many times in my life, and I'm not a super religious person. It's not that I don't believe that there's something out there. It's just, I've just organized religion. I've just never been there with it. And I'll tell you what, man, in the last 5 years, things have happened in my life that can't be coincidence. And I do understand that there's something to be said about putting yourself in these positions. And if you just keep pushing and just keep consistent, sooner or later, something just will come to you, you know? And I mean, I think the universe throws me friggin' gimmies.
Oh, you put yourself in the right position.
But you have to put that's it. You have to put yourself there. That's walking through the door.
Yeah.
And if you do it every single day.
Where an opportunity meets hard, like there's no such thing as luck. It's when opportunity meets hard work.
Yes.
Right? So don't call me lucky. I just put myself in a position to get lucky, right? Or whatever. So,
it's about mountains and consistency, right?
Yeah.
So I always give this mountain analogy, you know, you don't go to the gym one day and the next day you're buff. You don't eat one good meal and you're walking around with a six pack all shreddy spaghetti, right? To climb a mountain, you don't jump like Superman to the top. You climb the mountain step by step. You take 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 steps to get to the top of the mountain. What I've noticed in my life now is when I got to the top of my mountain, there's a giant, even bigger mountain behind me. Yeah. And now it's time to go climb that motherfucker.
Yeah. And like motivation comes and goes. You got to stay consistent, right?
Oh, it's all about consistency. Yeah. The motivation is nothing without consistency. Yeah. I mean, it isn't. You can go in and be as pumped up as you want, but if you're not getting it done every day, grinding it out, and that's running a business. I've had people ask me like, you know, what is your key to success? How did you do this? I went in every day and I made my company better every single day.
And I always like the other way you can put it is literally no matter what the problem was, all I did was focus on solving it, no matter what.
You know,
a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people run.
Somebody gave me an analogy about pilots too. You know why a pilot makes.
By the way, you do know the next question is the best piece of advice you can give, and I think you just gave about 30 pieces. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, you're good. My point is you just gave about 30 pieces of good advice.
Yeah, all right. I'll as far as advice, I'll give one on a business in and of itself. Stop doing the things that you think that you're good at doing and do the things that you know you're good at doing. Hire people to do those things that you shouldn't be doing, or understand, hey, if you spend your time doing X and X pays you $100 an hour, you shouldn't have any problem paying somebody $10 or $20 an hour to go do Y, go do Z, go do the other things that you need done so that you can go make that money for your business. The other thing is every time you build a system, create a process, an SOP, and make it scalable so that you don't have to go through and keep redefining the wheel, remaking the wheel. It's going to happen naturally in your business. What works at 1 million doesn't work at 2 doesn't work at 4 doesn't work at 8, so forth and so on. It just doesn't work. Some of the little things do, but you can adapt and change to make them work. What you really should do is you build a process, and as you hire more and more people, every time you do, you're redefining who is taking on that one piece of that process, because our entire business is based on compartmentalization, specialization in one given field, because I don't want a jack of all trades. Nobody is good at everything. I want somebody that specializes in one thing. I want them to have 5 tasks that they do, or 10 tasks the max, but 5 tasks that they do. And I want those 5 tasks to be done extremely well. Then there's something to be said for KPI tracking. You absolutely want those people to be tracked so that they can be held accountable. It's all about being held accountable and being held to the numbers. Your business is
anybody wondering why he's going to do 150 million in sales this year? Because if you are, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, man. Like, I just can't stop. I just don't know. I don't know how now. I don't know how to stop. So it's just not in me.
People want more information. Where do they go?
You can go to lifetimequalityroofing.com if you're interested in anything to do with insurance.
Yeah, listen, if you have older roofs, or you've had wind damage, storm damage here locally in Pittsburgh, anywhere across the country, really, like there is no better roofing company that's going to come out, take a look at your roof, work with your insurance adjusters and figure out if it makes sense. They are helping homeowners across the country literally get brand new roofs on their homes for the cost of their insurance deductible. So lifetimequalityroofing.com, absolutely do that from that side. What happens if where do we go if we want to talk to you individually? Or
you guys can go to me on Instagram. It's Alex Charles Gerhart on Instagram. I do have a Facebook under Alex Gerhart, Alex Charles Gerhart, one or the other. You guys can email me at agerhart@lifetimequality.com. My last name is spelled Gerhart. We are currently in 4 states. That'd be Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, and Florida. 8 major cities. So if you're in a major city in one of those states, we're probably servicing you. And yeah, we've saved homeowners and property owners now close to $150 million over the last 8 years. Our company is just built different. We've done over 28 million square feet of shingles. A roofing surface that we've replaced, 5.5 million square feet the last 2 years. So you could lay shingles from Columbus to Los Angeles in a single file line. That's how many roofs we put on. And that was just last year. We did the same thing the year before. This year, we're going to do close to 6,000 roofs. And that is only residential, not our commercial division. And we're already in the tens of millions in commercial. Yeah. Yeah. Hey man, we have a great product. We're extremely high quality. We're very anal about doing a very, very, very good job because I want referrals. Your business is built off the quality of your business. And does everything always go right? The answer is no. We're in construction. This is life. Things happen. The most important thing is everybody can be friends when things are going right. It's when things go wrong and how you react to them is what the true measure of you, your business, and you know your team and your company is. You know, if there's a leak, you go and fix it. You know, something gets broken, you go tell the homeowner before they notice that it's broken. You know, you be a good person, you be an ethical person, you do the right thing.
Yeah, our fourth core value is the red sweater, Mr. Rogers, which is all around just be a genuinely authentic, good people.
Just be a good person.
Yeah, man. Hey,
it's not crazy.
Appreciate you having you here, man.
Hey, appreciate you having me.
This was awesome and so informing and eye-opening. So appreciate you, bro.
Well, the next time I come in, I'll talk about how we got our tax liability limited by working with amazing people like you.
And I'll tell you, probably you'll be, we have you on in 3 months. We might be at like 250 million in sales revenue. So appreciate you, bro. Thanks.
Hey, appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.